not a result I expected in the slightest. And again, the Beast Coast versus LG game. That was the very first game of the day yesterday. That was quite a stunning scoreline as well. So, if you're a fan of Soniqs, you are looking at a lot of very close games, and the one thing that would come to mind for Soniqs is that while they have an immense amount of potential and on paper one of the best rosters in the North America League, they always seem to have small struggles, or rather big struggles, with small things. They actually finished 6th and were the last team to make it in. That's why they're playing OXG, though only 2 points separated the two of them. We'll get underway with round number 1. Operator bans are in. Feel free to pick apart anything that you see right now that needs to be picked apart.
I mean, I think this is a good old stable, right? I love the Soniqs opting for the Dokuri ban. Actually, I love to bring out the Operator. Then you got the Kai, the Hibana, the Asami. Very much expected Operator bans on Clubhouse, right? The Hibana affects the basement bomb site with all those hatch openings that she can create with the X-Kairos. Asami just makes attacking a complete nightmare. And OXG, they start an attack. So, of course, you're going to move one of the strongest defenders in the game to start things off. That just makes too much sense not to do that. And then, again, Kai, we tend to see this Operator being banned more and more often, simply because it gives you more freedom on the attack and Operator lineup. You don't gotta bring the Thatcher necessarily or secondary MPs unless you want to, where OXG, they bring it anyway. So they don't care about the Kite ban necessarily for this particular round. And OXG just, playing their fundamentals, their basics. They want to ensure they can get to the bomb side in due time, break them all the hot walls that they need. And we saw actually in their game yesterday, they were kind of struggling in the open and kill department. So I think the focus for XG is going to have to be to support Newers and support Fish. Just help them accomplish those entry goals of the team and just take it nice and slow to start things off.
Newers had a rough game yesterday, and in terms of consistency, it's been Yaga as the star of OXG so far this stage. Passes the eye test as well as passing stats test too. Cheeky little run out from Gunner from that garage door. Very first pick is on to Dream. Goodbye to the ace, and now Yaga drops as well. All for naught. A Citizen is bleeding out and could be retrievable, but not before it's Newers to finish things off. 1 minute left in the round. Soniqs with the advantage, being able to take out what I would usually say is the lone hard breach, but there is a Maverick on the board, though, as every time we see that Operator, we always have to say, he doesn't really inhabit that traditional role of being a hard breacher. OXG will find themselves down some very important tools that they'll need to attack this gym bomb site.
I mean, I guess it's worth noting that Citizen should have just outright died, but he got like a one-tap hipfire trade, essentially, where he got injured, but he also took down York at the same time, and that's going to put OXG in a really poor position now, because they would have loved to have one more member alive. Let's execute 3 attackers against 4 defenders. You only have a couple of ways into this bomb site, and now because of the numbers, the defenders can be watching every single entrance that there is.
Nades prepped and ready from Newers. He finds that bedroom is now open as he gets the pick and continues to soldier on. But what have OXG not done? Figure out what to do with Gunner down below, who has information, tries to stop them in the process, manages to get the defuse plant, and now it's Fish's attempt, but a bit of sloppiness upstairs on the bed. No amount of play between the two can get the job done. Foxay survives the round, but doesn't really matter as Soniqs win the whole thing.
Such a stable round by Soniqs too, they got the 4 versus 3, and you can just say, okay, let's just all play side, play super passive, don't risk anything, but you also have a Solace, and by playing downstairs and bar, one of 2 things can happen. Either you force one of the 3 attackers to go downstairs to deal with that issue, to then maybe get a plant off, or you say, okay, we need the 3 attackers on the bomb side, but now the Solace can do plant deny from downstairs. So while OXG got in the bomb side successfully, they couldn't get the bomb down because the Solace was left unchecked inside a bar, and one single impact grenade just creates that nice line of sight towards the master bedroom bed. If you're curious, you can't just shoot through the bed itself. The mattress, it is bulletproof, but by creating a soft, destroying the floor, I guess, next to the bed, you can therefore see the planter and kill them that way instead. So a really good checklist there being accomplished by Soniqs, is saying, we got the guns covered, we got the strategical elements covered, we can deny the plant as well, but not in an obvious way to the attackers. It's not going to be a C4 rip or a toxic bait being, tossed around. No, it'll be a Solace below. OXG, they didn't really get the start they wanted. They lost the opening kill, the run out, simply too punishing from Gunner. It's a very proactive play from him. Just checking for cameras, walking through garage, running out a door that was absolutely free because if you're Solus, you know there's no Claymore, and you know there's no drone watching you either. OXG, they were very slow on the timer last round, but Fish is sprinting down the main staircase right now, trying to get an off-pace play and catch somebody on the rotation. The only issue is the mirror window from Citizen. Well, he'll see it. The gig's kind of up. But OXG have secured themselves pretty much the full map in control. The only thing that could be an issue for them is the blue staircase. Foxy and Dream, they're narrowing into that area as well.
They don't know. Okay.
Oh, Fish. Not even a minute into the round, Gunner was playing in the hallway. He's gone. The bandit batteries are still on church wall, so there will be at least some salvage of his operator there, though I don't know how long they'll last for with the Thatcher on the board. One of the panels opened up as well.
I mean, if you see a drone down the main staircase that quickly, that was Citizen who even shot it, you would probably assume that the entry from the attack is relatively quick. But I mean, then again, it's not supposed to be that quick. I mean, that was literally just OXG with a phenomenal drone work and Fish saying, I'm gonna follow that drone all the way down that main staircase and catch somebody off guard. The patience, well, it paid off. They played that 4 versus 5 now in their favor, and they have a great lineup for the attack. Sure, there's no Ying or any like brute force side operator, but with a combination of Thatcher, EMPs, and clever usage, together with some grenades or those Grim Mines being shot out with the bees, you can figure out the player locations and hit those executes. And this was phenomenal Thatcher EMP usage, using it on the floor buff in blue to deny the area near that AK shield position, and then the nade follows. From Newers, all of a sudden, those strong positions from the defenders are slowly being, you know, pushed apart, essentially, allowing for an easier attack later in this round.
As the attack onto this church wall, as there's been very limited action in the minute after that very first pick. Citizen and Geo side by side, now seeking to retreat inside a church and avoid the crosshairs of OXG. Geo on the board, down goes Yaga. Geo still in this position. That was by bottom of main stairs. Now it's Dream, next one lined up, and Geo just can't control his recoil, but had the lineup playing with just a small portion of that reinforced wall still in place. Only 15 seconds left. OXG have to pressure the bomb site. They have to get in. Fish will drop. He has the cross from blue into church, but confronts the mirror window, staring right at him as Foxy walks up through dirt. A big pick, but it's all up to Grixter to save the round as OXG have swept everybody else out of the bomb site. Down he goes to Fish. OXG answer back.
That's the payoff. It might have looked like OXG were very low on time, and technically they were, but they had spent all that time earlier in the round to clear out the deployable shields, the magnets, etc. And you saw the payoff. When they actually went for the bomb set execute, it went relatively smooth for them because there simply aren't any really strong positions left for the defending team. Blue was completely cleared out, the church mirror was destroyed, Geo was stuck in the corner, and Asami didn't, or not the Asami, the AK's player rather, didn't have that deployable shield to play behind. And then Foxy, with a last second flank through dirt, there was 5 seconds left when he got there. Little bit risky, right? But it works out. OXG, they hit them from multiple directions at the same time, and they kept Soniqs guessing as to where the actual execute was coming from. And the answer, well, everywhere. And you can't simply hold that, especially since Fish got that early kill onto Bandit. That's one of the big reasons why they had such a big leverage point in that late stage of that round.
And I was going to ask you, did you happen to see what Gunner was doing in the hallway? The only thing that I could suspect is that he had a nitro cell and was hoping to go fishing over towards maybe kitchen or the hallway that's usually sledged or bucked by the attackers. Other than that, it seems very odd that there would be a bandit actively playing in the hallway between the bomb sites downstairs with 45 seconds off the clock.
Yeah, so I actually believe that Fish swung off the C4 rip noise from him, from Gunner. So I think like he was just waiting there, heard the C4 rip, and then swung the hallway. And that's why it was curious that that happened, because Citizen saw the drone earlier. So you'd think that he's gonna be like, okay, there might be a guy main stairs, guys, watch out. And then, you know, 5 seconds later, 10 seconds later, Gunner just comes sprinting around trying to prep a C4 on the ceiling, which would have been a good play if Fish hadn't already been there.
This Maverick's been favored by OXG quite a lot. You can see exactly why as it pays dividends on that CCTV wall. First cut open by the Maverick, and then soft panel that remained, destroyed by Fish. Entry from OXG to go scouting over towards logistics, and now it's Jacuzzi Wall being watched by Yagas. It's been completely ripped open as well. 1 minute in, and OXG have already opened up several avenues to begin map control. That is good timing for them. And imagine that the next step is going to be that construction wall. And sure enough, as I say that, the Selmas from Dream tearing away and opening up an entry point for Oxygen. Yet another. That's the third way in to begin taking control of this top floor.
Soniqs, they gotta lash out somewhere and try and find a pick. And Gunner is your man to do it. C4 downstairs in kitchen. Because if you don't, you're simply gonna get choked out of this CCTV bomb site relatively soon. This is one of those sites that it's very weak to hold the site itself. And it's also kind of hard to extend anywhere that's not the catwalk garage. So we see a very natural kind of round play out. But there it is, the man of the hour. It's Gunner downstairs with no real intel to hit that blind C4. It hits Yogg on the box. So it's not the highest value kill. You could have killed Newers with 2 grenades, and maybe the Harbinger or Dream or Foxay, but still, you get that kill, you get a small advantage, and you also buy time for your team, because Geo on the smoke, well, he has 2 toxic babes remaining, and there's only going to be about 45 seconds left in the round here, so if he plays his cards correctly, he could force OXG to go for a very late round execute.
Citizen's still down below as well in that lurk role. He is so well known, usually so strong on. Fish lighting up the brick wall, but there's nobody there to receive the bullets. I'm the only player who's taken any damage at all. Newer's on the board, but Geo has his teammates back. That was Citizen flushed out from below. Now Dream walking up ever so slowly to this cache bomb site. OXG just reduced to the 2 hard breachers. It's all up to Dream as Gunner swings the opening, and Dream has many angles to cover and doesn't know which one to look at first. Soniqs won their very first bomb site upstairs. They repeated on the other bomb site on the same floor. They take the lead.
And again, Gunner really is the man to do it right now. And I'm curious what will happen if OXG can either simply not die to those kind of opening kills, the run out in the first round and the C4 in that round that we just witnessed, or if OXG can simply just kind of shut it down. Because if you tend to pick up that Gunner will be off on his own, you know, far away from the bomb site, looking to make a play, you can start picking up on that. Put your drones in those kinds of positions, maybe even play a Jackal, try to hunt him down. And there are ways for OXG to kind of take advantage of that and force those 5v4s, assuming they can get the opening kill. But that's easier said than done. It is Clubhouse, and if you're up against the Solas, it's very hard to get your drones in those correct positions to figure out, is there actually a roam happening here? Because this is a classic basement roam from Soniqs, right? You get the mute, you put the jammers upstairs, master bedroom, office construction. That means no drones can really go in. Then you also play the Solas. You can now figure out if there are any drones who had already gotten past those jammers in the first place and shut them down if they have. The typical attack and approach in these kinds of rounds for a basement clear is 1 drone in master bedroom and 1 drone in garage that can see the staircase to walk up to the server top floor portion of the map. And if Sola says that there's no drones in those locations, now you know the attackers have no clue about top floor, you've jammed it up, you've broken the soft floor, you've opened up the hatches, and the attackers, they have to guess or gamble whether you're roaming or not. So they're gonna go in partially blind in this round, gonna slow them down or force them to rush the bomb side, and just simply spend more time in the first, you know, minute and a half of this round for OXG.
Solus far removed over on Strip. I always smile when I see Geo playing in this particular point in the map, because I go back to the SI that we had in Sweden where he was playing Castle on TSM in that particular spot, and it was an innovative strategy at the time. I have not really seen teams be that keen to repeat it, and well, I don't know if I can blame them. It seemed to go well for TSM now and then, but I think teams play a little bit more structured and maybe don't extend over to that point of the map. All the while, though, OXG walking in, claiming bar stage, but Geo is there and ready. Couldn't tell if he was actually playing on billiards or was still inside a strip, but Newers and Fish were prime targets for him.
A lack of intel here, you know, you see it in action. They don't know about the top floor, they don't know about strip, and I like this double roam, Gunner inside of office and Geo inside of strip, because now there are 2 fronts the defenders can work with, and neither has been droned out. So even if Gunner gets picked off here, they're not going to expect Geo to be roaming as well. And look at how much time Fox and Ox just spending on this roam, and Soniqs even have intel. Gunner could easily get 1 kill here and trade 1 for 1. Ooh,
Drone out Gunner. Has some challenges as a nade goes in, but he ends up winning his fight. Newers has no support. Yaga seems to be a bit too slow. Gunner has an opportunity for a second pick. Shotgun out now. Push from the stairs. All this time continuing to go down, but Gunner backs up a little bit too much, and through the soft wall, Yaga claims his kill. Geo is still downstairs, though. OXG might have suffered a Pyrrhic victory on that one. Yes, you take care of Gunner upstairs, but you've now taken 2 minutes off the clock, and there's Geo to strike. Fish, totally exposed. There he goes, and this is going to throw OXG into a tailspin. As with 30 seconds to go, they have to find Geo while also pulling off an execute. There goes Fox A as SQ's anchors get the job done. Dream finds himself in an unwinnable position again. And Yaga on main floor, still fighting shadows, still boxing against Geo. Lands quite the uppercut. But now, how do you recover with diffuser surrendered? You have to walk through double doors with 3 separate angles being held. Nobody wants to engage. They know that the clock will ultimately win them the round, and Soniqs take 2 in a row.
Beautifully played by Soniqs. I mean, I want to say like perfectly played. In fact, the Valkyrie got to the intel, the jammers as well. Like everything just played into that perfect order there. And Geo and Gunner very clearly communicated what was happening because they figured out, okay, it was Gunner who got droned out first. So Geo played it passive and slowly made his way towards Billiard Bar. And then if it was, roles reversed, I bet you that it's Gunner who's going to be walking down the main staircase trying to get a kill, and Geo's going to be on the fire. And yeah, Soniqs, they're playing this very proactive style of Siege right now where they're forcing their opponent to have to deal with all these problems, but they're also hiding what those problems actually are. The mute jammers upstairs playing the Solace. OXG didn't know what was clear and what wasn't clear in that round until it was way too late, both in terms of time, manpower, and simply they were being boxed in the middle section of the map. And OXG off to a rough start, 1-3 score count, and already called their tactical timeout as well.
Well, it is a defender-sided clubhouse, not to be reductive.
Sure.
I will say that Soniqs have now won on every single bomb site.
Locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
It looked mighty good on Church that time. Information from our wonderful analysts. Jesse Chick gets the tip of the hat for this, saying Soniqs and Oxygen have played Clubhouse against each other 3 times this season, not stage, season. That means that it goes back all the way to our spring games in stage 1 as well. First time was in stage 1 groups, where Soniqs prevailed 7-2, a very definitive scoreline. OXG had their revenge in the second matchup, which was in the stage 1 playoffs, but it was a nail-biter with OXG winning 8-6.
5 seconds left before insertion.
Soniqs would then ultimately take the series in the last chance qualifiers, also in stage 1 by a score of 7-4. A fun fact, at 8-6 game they lost to OXG in the stage 1 of the playoffs is Soniqs' only loss on Clubhouse this entire season through a total of 7 plays. It's a 6-1 score line, or record rather, for SQ on this map. So right now, yeah, it might be a defender favored Clubhouse, but the numbers on the board seemingly going the way that we know and expect for SQ.
Yeah. I mean, they also picked the map, so I guess you can kind of say, what gives. Because they're supposed to be doing well on this. But the analysts did point out that they should be a map 3 kind of banger best of 3 series, given it's going to be Clubhouse into Chalet and then Oregon as the decider. And I will say, oh shit, they haven't looked poor. I mean, they're playing the right operators with the right utility, and they got good ideas. Now, it might be a side rush here because if P's and nades are flying through, there are 4 members on the balcony.
Yep.
There it is, Gunner again, having an extraordinarily good game. It's not just him as he picks up 3, the sidearm out. The whole team seemingly getting in on this, but Gunner credited with 3 of those kills. Yaga's last man standing. He picks up a kill, and there's a team kill as well from Soniqs, maybe a bit too eager on their end, but they ultimately come out ahead. OXG, they don't seem to have an answer. The stalwart defense from Soniqs. 4-1 the scoreline, 1 more round to go in the first half.
I mean, Gunner just finds himself, or puts himself maybe rather, in the right positions at the right time every single round. Whatever works you're doing, a full roam clear, he's an issue. Rushing the bomb side, he's an issue. And it's either a testament to how well prepared Soniqs they are and kind of expecting these things to happen, or just Gunnar as an individual having such a good read. Why would he sprint towards the chassis position here, looking for a rush, looking for a summer charge on the mirror window? Any player could have done it, but it's Gunnar every single time. Double kill, deagle swap, 9 and 2. He's unstoppable right now. An absolute thorn in the side of OXG, and I will commend OXG. They're trying again so many different things. The quick, the slow, the side rush, the roam clear, and when you keep running into, trying to use different solutions, but the result is the same, that's incredibly frustrating because you're supposed to find success eventually. The only thing they've not really done so far is utilizing some quote-unquote key operators like the Monty, the Ying, that can kind of simplify the process of Clubhouse, especially for a CCTV attack. You pick the Monty, you go into garage, you walk up the catwalk stairs, easy peasy. One of the few counters to the the catwalk setup essentially. But they're still going with this very stable situation where they really want the Thatcher. Despite the Kite being banned, despite them being comfortable Maverick, they keep bringing the Thatcher, which kind of limits how aggressive you can play, because all of a sudden you have 2 Hop Breachers, a Nade Operator, and a Thatcher. The only person who can actually die early in these rounds is Fish. And Fish had some major issues yesterday where he would die first every single round, so he probably does want to go in first because of those issues as well. So OXG kind of boxed himself out here for like a little bit. Well, that's a counter.
That's an unfortunate position for Gunnar.
And he's gone.
A reward for your previous efforts. A nade gets rolled in through the drone hole over towards Jim, and Gunnar blows sky high. OXG are going to very quickly reveal, or rather learn, that they've cleared out the entirety of the gym and bedroom side of the map. They need to translate that over to cache CCTV. Soniqs have obviously one fewer player than they started with. Citizen is lurking down below on that Valkyrie. Again, that lurk roll, something that he knows very, very well. He can make you pay for it. But I will say, I think OXG has done a very good job of isolating him so far in this match. Yeah, he's had some kills, but I don't think he's taken OXG by surprise. This is actually something that a lot of teams used to talk about with laxing, and I remember having a conversation with Fabian at one point where he said, as long as you're constantly aware that laxing will flank you and come from an unpredictable angle, you can put somebody really strong on flank watch and defang the entirety of that flank. Nice play by OXG as they swept through the bomb site so far, done so flawlessly. The numbers will continue to go in their favor, and then the man we were just speaking of, Citizen, returning to the bomb site, getting one pick onto Newers as the diffuser goes down. But Citizen is in a very precarious position upstairs on rafters. He'll be vulnerable as he has to get back into the site, or maybe go down below. An act of desperation as he picks up a single kill, but ultimately it's impactless. OXG bailed themselves out of what could have been a particularly disastrous first half by grabbing a second round to close things out. Sonic still with the lead. These teams will swap sides.
I know that Soniqs they lost that round, but you can tell that Citizen was completely and utterly feeling himself in that 1 versus 4. He was hitting most of those shots as well. The Deagle 1 taps were hitting just the shoulder, not the head. What a beautiful, out of nowhere push from OXG. They recognized that you could just go right then and there. Nothing was stopping them. And it's actually Dream, who both times in the CCTV attack has been the person trying to lead things off. And it's one of the great things about Clubhouse, being a hot breacher yourself. One of the first things you do in most rounds is to, you breach those exterior walls leading to the bomb site, and that's it. All of a sudden, the support player of a Thermite or an Ace or an Hibana, whatever hot breacher you're playing, can become like an entry player because you've already spent your utility. Unfortunately for OXG, they only find 2 attacking rounds. The way that I personally see Clubhouse is, if you're a phenomenal attacking team, you should win vast majority of attacking rounds on Clubhouse, because it is one of those maps that are very strategical, very much the ABCs, the 1, 2, 3s. There are so many small, tiny details you can change around, and I would say that you can actually play so many different attackers and defenders as well. Just a very dynamic map. Getting only 2 attacking rounds is not going to be the most confidence-inspiring position for OXG, but they won their very last attacking round, so they will at least go into side swap with some success on their shoulders.
mean, I'd be happy with that end result, but
Yeah.
I mean, still, OXG had some opportunities that they ultimately came up short on. 1 to 2 rounds, and we could have ourselves a very tight game. You hear the ram going off, that boogie upstairs making an ungodly amount of noise. There's Citizen to die as OXG strike first on their very first defense. Nitro cell works. I guess IQ didn't see that coming.
Ironic. One thing speaking of dynamic on Clubhouse is the attacking operator lineup and even defense as well, very different from one team to another. The Ram being brought out in Ying in the very first round for Soniqs. Oshi did not bring these operators whatsoever. Then we see Echo being brought by OXG, clearly favoring Intel, but not the IQ. I guess they want more plant deny-oriented information, the yokai that can stun out the plants, that is, more so than the Valkyrie cameras for the roam to play off of. And I don't think they're entirely wrong. We know Dream loves to bring a good old Maestro, one of the few Maestro players left in T1 play right now. But again, the issue is the cameras can't move if you're playing Maestro, so they'll just die because, you know, they'll be droned out, pinged, and then destroyed. So I really like the yokai pick here, and the fact that it's IQ who dies first as well, at least one yokai should be up for that bomb site execute, and it's going to be a problem for the attack.
It's an exceptionally quiet round, especially with a ram on the board. You'd think it'd be a little bit louder. Neither of these teams very intent on making noise. Common position now assumed by Soniqs as they hit the do or die part of this round. Candelas will herald their entrance, going in towards Church. Maybe a bit of friendly fire onto Geo with those flashbangs going off. Gunner waiting for the roll, but a swing from OXG, punishing them. Suddenly, Soniqs have completely toppled Oxygen. Fish is the only member left, and he's inside a dirt tunnel. Swinging out in a bit of sloppiness as Grixer gets the final pick. It's devastating for OXG. They seem to be so poised. The swing onto Moto Door. They had a 2 numbers advantage, and then it just disappeared.
Yeah, and I mean, we can't capture every single kill because they happen at the same time, but it's hard to actually see what went wrong for OXG. They had, as you said, numbers advantage. They had good operator selection. They had yokai drones alive for intel. They must have just lost their individual gunfights, being caught, I guess, off guard somehow. And if you're Gunner in that previous round, you know, you had a great job, right? You throw out a couple of Candelas, you die. But then your team just wins 5 seconds later. And I really like the fact that Dream said, okay, I'm gonna get Candela. I can't really do much in this scenario. I'll just swing the motor door with a shotgun. And he kills Gun off the Ying, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, surely that's going to stop or pause the execute here coming from Soniqs. But no, because every single member who wasn't in Motor Door, they executed elsewhere. We see here, Bloom Hatch, Kitchen Hatch, dropping down, getting kills. And Fish is just the last guy alive stuck in Dirt Tunnel. And it's always a very big question mark for players, for support staff, or for talent when you watch a player inside of dirt in that basement defense, because it's one of those scenarios where if the attackers, they go into dirt, okay, now you're trading one player for one player, because the defender in dirt cannot leave, and the attacker in dirt is going to have a very hard time killing that defender in dirt. So they're both stuck in there effectively. But if you have a defender inside of dirt and no attacker comes there, well, you're still stuck. And that's what happened. The second Fish into dirt, kitchen exits opened up, he cannot leave. The only way out would be an Asami that would throw a keeper barrier to cover the hatch, but Asami's banned by Oxygen, so they're limiting themselves a lot in those kinds of bomb site positions, and I guess Soniqs took great advantage to that because, yeah, it was 5 versus 4 technically, but Fish wasn't in the fight, so it's kind of a 4 versus 4.
Well, speaking of Fish,
that's not
it
good.
appears that he got shot through the doorway over by Kitchen, and now just inch his way up. The observers saying that it was the drone hole that was the culprit.
No. That's rough.
And Fish is secured by Rexon.
Oh, that's a tilter. That is a tilter. One of the worst ways to die in Siege, period, has always been standing too close to a drone hole that faces the outside of the building And attackers are not supposed to really look through those, you know, they're meant for drones. But hey, right place, the right time, and you might find yourself an entirely free kill. Just there, you see the bullet tracers on the wall. So yeah, it is indeed from the drone hole outside. The worst for the down in the game, unlucky fish.
It's not the start that OXG wanted whatsoever. Soniqs' record on Clubhouse speaks for itself. 6-1 over the last 7 times played this season, as we highlighted just a few rounds ago. And an opening pick to take out the Legion and also potentially wrestle away first floor control from Oxygen means Soniqs could be very close to a 6-2 scoreline, in which case, given how close these teams are, yeah, Oxygen's never a team that you can count out, but I don't know if Oxygen's a good enough team to win 4 rounds in a row and send us to overtime, especially when you're going up against the competition like SQ, who are themselves quite good. We know OXG are capable of it, but the likelihood, very slim. Final 30 seconds, and Dream goes for broke, swinging onto the Logi hatch. Down goes Citizen. Rexon drops 2. The kill feed is OXG's, as Grixer will drop to his death. Dream still in this position. Things have gone from good to bad in a hurry for SQ, and it continues to go in that direction. At this point, Soniqs might only get the pick on the fish, and that's exactly what happens. OXG gets every single kill after that. And if I'm OXG, I'll sacrifice 1 player to win the round every single time. A 3rd round goes on the board for Oxygen, and it's their first successful defense.
These rounds are incredibly difficult to actually predict because you would think with how Fish died early and how Sonics were progressing through the map, it's gonna be a slaughter of a round when it comes to OXG on the defense, right? They're gonna fall apart, surely. But no. I mean, a mixture of individual swings at the right times from OXG, they win their gunfights, pays off, yeah. But also, Soniqs very much playing far from one another for the first time so far in this entire game on both their attack and their defense. Not a single member of the attack was in a tradable position. So if you lose your individual gunfight, that's it. You lose that part of the map, no one can kill the opponent back, and you give the defense time to reload, to reposition, etc. And the intel that you gathered when you died to them, like, oh, he's in this corner, well, that all of a sudden is outdated immediately because no one can act upon it. The good thing if you're Soniqs, though, you have time to work with. You're ahead, it's 5-3. You can lose the next 2 rounds and then you're tied up. So you can kind of go through this and figure out, okay, what kind of defending team and what kind of defending playstyle is OXG going to be actually bringing? Will they actually start swinging us or not? Because we saw in the first round on basement, OXG were very passive. They didn't really fight a whole lot off the bomb side. And all of a sudden they go gym and they're swinging the hatches, they're swinging the windows, they're swinging the main breach and jacuzzi as well. So a bit of recalibration perhaps needed here for Soniqs, but again, they got time to work with. It should not be an issue for them. Jammer though, proving to be a little bit too difficult given that you have Maverick on the board, but it's a work in progress here. Yeah, exactly. Now, I mean, fun fact, you could just repel and put the thermal charge a little bit higher and the jammer doesn't get it, but oh, wait a second, they're in, and they're out.
Well, they were in. Their bodies are still in, but they are not alive. 2 very quick kills for OXG, only sacrificing a small bit of Yaga's HP in the process. Again, I think OXG is very happy with this trade. And honestly, if you're Soniqs, you attempt something that we saw from OXG. OXG, on the other part of the map, over on the side of Jim, tried that go for broke strategy, but fell short. Same thing happened for Soniqs. You lost your Finca, which honestly I would have liked to have seen what the overall idea is for them. And you lost the Maverick, whose job admittedly seems to be done. Soniqs do get on the board. They pick off Yaga. That's the Smoke. Out of all the operators that OXG has available, Smoke is probably one of the worst to lose with half of the round to go, but you can still see the gas lingering, so it's not like Yaga died without using some of his gadgetry.
I think the theory here is that they're gonna throw in flashbangs from the breach and then jump in the window. And when you pop the finger stim, you basically remove all negative flash effects on your teammates, which means that the person jumping in the window isn't flashed, but the defenders are supposed to be. You do that while caps firing the catwalk rafters like we also saw to limit the catwalk guy from swinging that window jumping player. It just didn't work out, but look at this. Maybe there is still life left in this round for Soniqs. They get that crucial catwalk rafters in control. That's going to give them a chance in this round. But a C4 from Dream, Valkyrie cameras, Fenrir sketch is still up. It's going to be a hard one for them.
That's such a frightening spot to be in on the bottom of the stairs for Grixer, but he manages to aggress. He now needs to find a vault in, and he's the last one left. So while he looks for an opening into the bomb site, and he's found it, he's lost his only ally of Geo.
15 seconds to go.
Diffuser's there, but he's under watch with 10 seconds to go. And the moment that he tries the plant, I'm certain OXG will be compelled to act. But Grixer just going for picks. If there's anybody that could have bailed himself out of a 1v3, it's certainly Grixer. We've seen that time and time again. But it does not end up happening. To no avail is Sonic's early push, as it's shut down quite swiftly by OXG, who then ride out the remainder of the round. 2 in a row for Oxygen. This game is tightening up very quickly. Might have spoken too soon all the way back in round number 8. Soniqs will call a timeout and try to right this ship.
I think this is like the perfect time to call for a tactical timeout because you're still in the lead. You've been trying out a couple different things on the first 3 rounds, and you've also recognized that Oxygen themselves have been changing their defense style too. So now this is where the support staff can come in and say, okay, these are the issues that we recognize. These are the things that the opponent is doing to us, and then talk about whether you want to change something up, go back to your basics, or if somebody has maybe perhaps found a weakness to them. For example, if there's a person always roaming solo, try and get the kill. If the side seems to be relatively weak, like we just saw that bomb site rush that Soniqs attempted in the previous round, it wasn't done randomly because they're like, oh, let's just try it, guys. Usually there's a plan and a thought behind it. There's some drone intel. And of course, you're trying to catch your opponent by surprise by doing what I like to call an off-pace play. And that's when you're doing something that you're not supposed to be doing it, like attacking the bomb site with only a minute into the round and you've only really breached one area of the map. No defender is realistically going to think you're going to make that play. That's why we call it off pace. And it's a great play to make, but it doesn't always work out because they're also heavily relying on getting that initial opening kill, winning your individual gunfights, and again, the defender is having a gap in their defense. OXG looking very strong when it comes to the bomb site itself. But what I wonder about them is, how good is their roam going to be? Because if you put yourself in a box every single round where you're only playing on the bomb side, I mean, surely the attacker should figure out a way to break that the second time they attack it. So you can almost argue that the more rounds OXG they win in a row, to have to go back to those same bomb sites they've won previously, Sonic should have a solution for those if OXG cannot change around their playstyle.
The technical pause at the moment. So we get a tactical timeout called, and then a tech pause to just delay the return back to the game. All 3 bomb sites now played, well, there's 4, but Bar Stage does really not show up that much. It had a moment in the sun around the Copenhagen Major where it was showing up semi-frequently, often supplanting that CCTV cache bomb site upstairs. In private conversations, the reason for that is, well, a Maverick renders that bomb site pretty much unusable because there's just nothing you can do once that wall gets opened up. Jacuzzi could potentially be the wall that you want to structure around the most, or maybe even construction. But again, a Maverick still deals with those quite well. So we saw Bar in Stage quite a lot. Its pick rate as a bomb site in Stage 2, really not where it could be. So CCTV cache has become the tertiary site. OXG prevailing on the 2 top floor bomb sites, but struggling with Church. That's exactly what happened when Soniqs did their first site rotation, but they managed to fix it and win their second defense on Church quite decisively. OXG hoping to accomplish the same thing, as they will now go back downstairs to that Church bomb site.
Oh, this is a classic. I mean, I spoke earlier about the small, intricate details of this map. All of a sudden, we're shipping out a bandit on Yogg who's roaming top floor and just bandit tricked the CCTV wall because it's typically the first wall the attackers are going to breach. Or they'll breach that and Jacuzzi at the same time to take top floor and control for the roam clear. So now Gunner, he just walks up to the wall, puts down that secondary hard breach on the bug, and well, you know, it gets sapped. It's gone. And that's gonna force us to go, aha, okay, we need to find a new entry point inside the map. Let's try and go Jacuzzi maybe. Look where Yogg is. He's now on Jacuzzi side. Soniqs, they aren't actually going for Jacuzzi, they're going downstairs inside a strip room and stock, etc. Just go for that first floor attack. But now the issue is, much like OXG when they were attacking that basement bomb site, when Soniqs are roaming, you don't know what's above you. Where the roamers are going to be, the soft destruction. I mean, Yogg has a C4, he can easily open up a line of sight, walk down the staircase and flank. So Soniqs are fighting above them and below them and horizontally all at once. That's not where you want to be on the attack, you gotta stabilize.
First pick goes to Soniqs, as you talked about. Fish dying again. A similar spot. Now it's Newers' time to say goodbye. Half the round gone. OXG will fight back. Down goes Gunner. He was so strong at the beginning of this matchup. He was like 9-3, I believe, the scoreline. He's gone 1-5 since. And dying early again is something that we've seen from Gunner before. Playing on that entry role, you expect him to be one of the first people in action. You don't want to gamble on him too often. Yaga taking down Rex and re-engaging. Here's another inside of construction. He's being hunted down on this top floor part of the map. Soniqs finding themselves almost stuck in the mud. Doesn't look like any of the silhouettes are even close to the basement at the moment. With only 30 seconds left, that's not ideal. So what do? They ignore Yaga. Leave him be. Hope that you can kill him on the way back. There's the nearsighted effect that Fox A is looking to capitalize off of, as now the execute comes in for Soniqs with only 15 seconds on the clock. Fox A well prepared to meet these players from Soniqs inside of blue. Where's Dream? Where's Yaga? They're the real question marks. Yaga's got the cross into blue. He'll try to soften them up. It's Yaga and Dream against Citizen, who has the diffuser in hand, but he's in a hopeless position. And there are the spam pings. He falls off. He will not give them the glory. Citizen survives, but his team does not survive the round. OXG win 3 in a row, and we've got a tie game.
Yeah, and I gotta say, like, Foxy and Yogg are both looking so good right now. Yeah, they've had everyone has good and bad games, etc. But they are just such stable players, like the foundation of this team right now. And it really has been a matter of when OHG first picked up Newers, they were such a lethal team on the front line. Newers would walk in and just like mow down the opponent. But nowadays, especially the last like 3 or 4 games from OXG in this stage, it's been Yogg, Dream, and Foxy doing most of that heavy lifting. And there can be many reasons for it, right? Fish falls early in the injury fights. Newers hasn't been as successful at this stage either. But you can always count on Fox. You can always count on Yogg. And I think Soniqs had a bit of a misstep in that round because, yeah, they rushed the bomb site when they recognized Yogg was upstairs, but they lost 2 members before that decision was made. The moment Yogg kills the first attacker on that room clear on construction, I say you take the 4 attackers and you run straight down to basement 4 versus 2. Instead, they sent a second player to solo look for Yogg. He dies as well, and now it's 3 versus 2 instead on the bomb site. So I think Soniqs made the right conclusion at the end, but I think they got to that conclusion a little bit too late, because they could have had more manpower with the exact same goal if they had acted sooner in the round. And now, indeed, we do have that game on our hands, that good 5-5 scoreline. Your favorite round, Parker. And this time it's in a best of 3 format. No, it's a good thing. I agree with you. I also love the 5-5 scoreline, okay? And
how convenient it is. You casted links. You think I'm not listening.
Yeah.
You take advantage of me in a moment of medical crisis and mock me on the broadcast. Now that you're here with me, it's all sunshine and rainbows. I love this round. It's my favorite.
I said it was my favorite too when I did it with links. And it was not an emergency. You had like a cold or something, okay?
My eye was swollen.
Okay, your eye was itchy, okay? It wasn't actually swollen. Don't dramatize it.
It was genuinely quite serious, but I appreciate the concern.
You told me you were fine, so it's all good, okay? It's done and dusted.
I will be fine. I have medication. That's all that matters.
But will OHG be fine?
Modern medicine. Modern medicine. And how do you diagnose the problems that Soniqs are going through right now? Is they've lost every bomb site that they've gone to over the last 3 rounds. Soniqs just cannot tackle these defenses by OXG.
Oh, it's been 3 rounds in a row.
What do you prescribe?
Right now, I prescribe you a good amount of clutch better, play better right now for Soniqs, because they're simply just not stepping up individually right now. Those opening kills, not happening. The follow-up, not happening. And you point out last round, Gunnar, you said it was like 9-3, now he's 10-8. He's severely cooled off, and I will say Soniqs were a little bit dependent on him earlier on. And I was saying, what if Gunnar gets picked off on defense? Well, that didn't really happen, but what if Gunnar can't find those same openings on the attacking side? He's playing Maverick, he's a bit more restricted, and you're up against a very, I would say, passive OXG for the most part, playing close in the bomb site, not giving any of the openings. But look at this timer, it's ticking down and nobody's acting. Right now the dose is, it's time to go, Soniqs.
One Hive is ready to engage.
Going frag.
Nobody losing any HP? Well, I mean, you didn't lose any HP, you just lost your life. The nade claiming Newers. And now the march for Soniqs as they are in.
The attacker's bomb
Gio
diffuser has
thought
been
he had a
dropped.
window of opportunity, but Fish says no thank you. Numbers favoring OXG, they just continue to get better. Rexen has one. Here's the Vector. Gunner drops, caught in the corner, but
remaining.
there's Yaga firing back. Suddenly Rexen has to pivot, and an about
10
face is in
seconds left.
order as his eyes are set on construction. Might he get one? No, he doesn't. 4 in a row from OXG. This is quite an impressive streak. The beginning didn't look that great, but over the last 6 rounds, OXG have taken 5, forcing Soniqs to take their time out, forcing Soniqs to run the gamut of bomb sites, swapping up operators, and ultimately, every single attempt to gain map control, to gain site control, and get the diffuser down has ultimately failed for SQ. They have one more opportunity to win this map. This is Soniqs' map. They are 6-1 since the beginning of this season, all the way back in the spring. That number is teetering on 6-2, which would move us to OXG's map of Chalet with OXG up 1-0.
Yeah, and mentally speaking, right? Soniqs were all smiles. They were super happy when they're on defense, when they're up in that round count. They don't really look the same right now. And I will say, thank God for them that it's a best of 3 series, because you need to just be able to go next map at this. I'm not saying you should surrender this round, but if you end up losing like 5 rounds in a row, or she goes 7-5 in terms of round count, you can say, okay, it's not a best of 1. We just gotta play Oregon now, and then of course win Chalet first. So they have that to look forward to, that long game that they gotta prepare themselves for, because you can count yourself out. And I want to see Soniqs keep on fighting and keep on trying, but I want to see more life from them. They tried to make those quick-paced rounds, the first couple of attacks. It was then shut down, and all of a sudden they look much more passive now. They hit the side very late. Again, the trades aren't there from them on the previous Dream attack. It's one by one they fall on the round. A little bit too easy for OXG when you do it that way. We saw them try and make for that semi-rush last time on CCTV. The Captains on fire, the flashbangs, the think above, jump on in, get shut down. I imagine we're going to see a more methodical approach here from Soniqs. A good old get the breach first on CCTV wall, then get the garage breach, and then either choose to go construction or to simply try and clear out the catwalk rafters. Typically, we'll look at the upper lineup and go, what do we think they're going to do in this round? Well, when an attacker team is playing Capital, 9 out of 10 times they're going to go for that garage attack, because the Capital firebolts on the catwalk rafters combined with grenades are the 2 only ways to really clear the catwalk rafters position. That's where Newers is going to sit on Wamai. So it's kind of all up to Newers to try and save this round, or, I mean, he can die. It'll be a harder round for his teammate, but if Newers is successful at holding the catwalk rafters, that's basically the round over in favor of OXG.
There's a bit of struggle, if you recall, to capture this part of the map. There's Grixer and then Citizen to go through catwalk. How quickly can SQ flush out these players from OXG that are playing on catwalk? Well, there's only one, and it's Newers. He's been the first to die for OXG a worrying amount of time, and despite the way that this half has gone for them, Soniqs have struck gold 4 of the 6 rounds well before OXG's been able to answer back. Still, they haven't won a single round that they have drawn first blood. Yeah, I'll repeat that again. Soniqs have not won a single round where they have gotten the first pick in this second half. And that's 4 of the 6 rounds. Now, they might not have first blood, but OXG are able to equalize. They lose 1 and 2, in fact. Grixer This incredible position upstairs on rafters, managing to punish and push these players from OXG back. Dream will stand against the hordes as Yaga is down below. Nitro Soul goes out. It's perfectly thrown. Now they just need to wait. As Yaga assumes the position at top of red. This is a very powerful spot. Rafters still in control of Soniqs, but suddenly it's a 2v2 with Rexon being injured as well. Geo walking in, nearsighted, but he doesn't care at all. He'll attempt to plant. Rexon can't see either. This gives an opportunity for OXG to get real aggressive. Yaga punished, Dream around the corner, and it's a scare, but Soniqs finally win a round after the last 4 went in favor of their opponents. A look of relief on their faces as now we go to overtime.
Oh yeah, I think they realized just how close and how sloppy and messy that was. They were getting nearsighted by the Fenrir, yellow ping by the Valkyrie cameras. They were getting, you're dying to see C4s that were tossed out of nowhere, and they built up that nice lead. Grixer with a phenomenal 2K to open things up, but the plan is never really stable on this CCTV attack. Unless there is no C4s and no vertical play, and you got everything covered basically, planting is just very difficult. I like what the Soniqs are trying to do that round by sending Gunner in to kind of just like create chaos, but he literally ran into a C4 that wasn't even meant to go in towards his direction, or rather, it was aimed for the planter who was in the same position rather. So he died early, but a clutch of a round, taking them all the way to this 6-6 point that they're in. It's back and forth, and it's really anyone's first map here. I don't know how to predict who's gonna win, because try as you might, you're not gonna get it right.
5 seconds to go.
Throwing an F-Naught.
Attackers
Well, the
are
numbers
moving to defuse the
don't
bomb.
lie. This should be a cakewalk for Soniqs based on where they've been as of late, but OXG's been the better team in this stage. And in this game, I mean, as close as it is, I can't tell you which team I think ought to be ahead. I think we are right where the scoreline should be. These two teams are evenly matched. The desk said that they expect all 3 maps. I would not disagree with that assertion whatsoever. Which means that we would end on Oregon, which what a spectacular map that would be for these two teams to send the series away. But I do worry a little bit about Soniqs. I worry that this is one of their strongest maps over the last year. I worry that this was the map that they picked, and I worry that OXG has kept it very competitive. And not just competitive, but OXG looked like the better team through most of that second half.
I would agree with you on that one. But as you mentioned, Soniqs, they get defense twice. So, looking at the numbers, they are in the more favorable position. It can be hard to kind of, change things off. You go into OT, you just played like 6 attacking rounds. All of a sudden, you're defending. It's a different kind of play style and mindset you got to put yourself into as a player. Your win conditions change. You got to figure out, okay, what were our good bomb sets again? Where did we win? What attacks did they do? What did we do? And just kind of fine-tune in those things for overtime. Make it perfect. No OXG, they're going for the same exact clear. The EMP above clears out the protection around the AKs. The nade follows through, destroys the shield. There again, they're setting up for what's gonna happen in about 30-45 seconds from now. That bombs that execute. And OXG want to ensure they get all those boxes checked off. The vertical play, the hatch openings, the utility clear. So that when they get that situation happening, they're in the best position possible. But to be in the best position possible, you need everybody alive. And Dream, he doesn't make the cut. He gets picked off early in this round. You see Soniqs trying to play proactive, but he gets punished immediately by Foxy.
Soniqs strike first, but it's not an advantage that they gained for very long. OXG with 45 seconds left are actually ahead of the timer in regards to what we see out of these executes. It's not really amounting to much though, because Foxy finds himself in a 1v3. Possibly impactless kills incoming, or the clutch of Foxy's career, dare I say it? None of it transpires. OXG stitched 2 in a row. Now they sit on match point.
Back and forth and back and forth. And now, well, yeah, you win a defense. You gotta go attack now, and you gotta really prove that you're the real deal, or you gotta go all the way to that very final round. Because Soniqs, they are in that fortunate position. They get the defense twice in overtime. But of course, if you can, you wanna close it out on your following round on attack. Just end it there. Reserve some energy for next map. because the longer these games go, well, the more your energy reserves, your stamina, your endurance, your best of 3 potential gets tested, right? If you win 7-0 the first map, you can easily go the distance on the following 2 because you only played, basically half a map in the first one, only playing 7 rounds. If you go overtime the first map and overtime the second map, there is going to be a possibility of fatigue on that third map. Can impact your decision making. Of course, you're not going to be playing at 110%. So sure, you want to come out swinging, but just like playing, just like commentating and everything else, you need to pace yourself correctly for a long day. And for these teams playing today, it very well could be a long day because you don't know how many rounds you're going to play.
Yeah, I mean, there's a potential 45 rounds on the board. We are an hour into action at this point. Maybe not exactly an hour, but we're very quickly closing in on that. For all intents and purposes, we will round up. I know that I have never competed at this level, but you have. And I know that players will talk about how even just playing a single best of 1 can be very mentally taxing. A best of 3, I'd imagine, is even more so. OXG strikes first in a very crucial round on Soniqs map. Down goes Citizen, down goes the Ash, down goes the breaches that come with it. Soniqs are gonna burst into the bomb site through Dirt Tunnel. Geo doesn't survive, neither does Rexon. This is a third rush strat that we've seen so far in this matchup. None of them have worked. Gunner's in a 1v5 and there hasn't been a single scratch to OXG. Can he assert himself down blue? Position given away by one of those proximity alarms. He takes down Newers. Looking for another. He'll find it onto Fish, but his exit sent home by Yaga. All 15 rounds needed. Soniqs very quick to get back to defense.
Yep, another off-pace play, another lost round as well. And I really respect these kind of quick rushes in overtime because we tend to see teams when they reach that overtime scenario, they play slower. There's more stress, there's more pressure. Well, Soniqs said maybe you can just send this one home even quicker and go for that bomb site rush. It didn't pay off, of course, we saw that. But yeah, going back to the energy level that we spoke of earlier, you said, Parker, some players say even playing a best of 1 is like exhausting. And it really is, because when you're playing a best of 1, you're pouring every single inch of yourself into it, right? You want to use 110% of your energy levels so that you know that when the game is over, you did as much as you possibly could. Most teams, in domestic leagues, well, every team, they play best of 1s until they get to these playoff scenarios. So sure, you scrim 3 to 4 maps, so maybe sometimes 5 in a row, but that's scrims. You're comfortable, you're just there to learn, to practice, etc. The outcome of that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Right now it does. You lose, well, not great. You win, well, you got more games to play.
5 seconds to go.
So it's gonna be a long, week and a half, 2 weeks for these teams, so the amount of games they gotta play and prepare for.
Must locate and defuse a bomb.
And again, not everyone is equally experienced in these scenarios either. I would say for this particular lobby, quite the experienced players. Fish, of course, the least experienced right now. But there are some teams that we'll see play later on where they don't have that many players who's done this many times before.
I mean, if you look at 2 players in this lobby who've basically been playing since the beginning. Foxay, if I remember correctly, actually played in the closed alpha all the way back. Geo's been around for eternity. He played on Xbox. I mean, Xbox didn't even exist as a supported pro league for an overwhelming majority of people who've played this game. I mean, I think when the Xbox Pro League ended up being closed down, the player numbers on Steam charts, which are always an imperfect measurement, I think the game was only at like 20 or 30,000 people at absolute most. Most people, most new fans would probably be surprised to know that there was even a console Pro League. Obviously, it's nice to see console players getting their time in the sun. Jinxie playing on console is inarguably brought this game back to a level on Twitch that we hadn't seen for quite some time, which is excellent. But the point remains, the fact that Geo played on Xbox way back in the day, oh, he's a dinosaur by Rainbow Six terms. 1 kill for each, but Soniqs ultimately come out ahead as we hit the exact halfway point of the round, and the defense holding true. It's is a defender-sided map so far. Does not surprise me one bit to see them doing the damage they've done, and it's the Thatcher Thermite combo off of the board for OXG.
This is like a very tough place to be as a player. You have 1 grenade left on Yogg. Neurus has no health left. You're 3 versus 4, a minute left. It's a final round, so you have to win it. And there's no easy way to problem solve this. You have to kind of hope that the enemy makes a mistake or two. You win your individual gunfights. This nade, for example, had that killed Citizen. You're in the 3 versus 3, but instead, no, it doesn't do a single point of damage. OXG are forced to walk up a staircase, jump in the window, walk through a Naruni gate, and do these really unsexy gunfights and somehow try and win them as well.
It's not just unsexy gunfights. It's not even about gunfights at all. Sometimes it's about the utility and gadgetry work. Foxay's attempt to poke a hole into the defense of that bathroom wall, thwarted by the nade tossed out. No impacts remaining. No Selmas remaining either. This is just going to be pure bloodshed. Blood sport for these teams. But Geo is just taking a break. He used to go by the name Sleepy Geo, and lying prone by the bed, that's as accurate as ever. A pick for OXG. They keep walking in. They're under watch from the Evil Eye. Gunner has so many bullets. He doesn't need to be involved. It's the rest of Soniqs who do. What a nail biter of a matchup. 8-7 the scoreline as Soniqs win on their map, but OXG did not make it easy. And there was a time where it looked like OXG would have been able to walk away with it. A lot of gumption from those SQ folks. And they go up 1-0. Chalet awaits us as our second map. We got a break for you. We'll come back with more of Soniqs versus Oxygen.